By the year 2576, humanity had expanded far beyond its cradle, reaching across the stars in search of knowledge, resources, and allies. Over the centuries, humans had encountered dozens of alien species, some hostile, some indifferent, and a rare few that had become partners in exploration. Yet, none of these encounters had prepared them for what they would find in the depths of the Sagittarius Arm, a discovery that would reshape everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and their place within it. It began when long-range survey probes detected unusual energy readings emanating from an isolated system. The signals were unlike anything recorded before, complex, structured, and far too advanced to be the result of natural processes. The system itself was unremarkable at first glance: a main sequence star, a handful of lifeless rocky worlds, and a few gas giants, but hidden within the vastness of space, orbiting in perfect alignment around a barren moon, were the structures. The first human exploration vessel to arrive, the UNS Triumph, deployed drones to investigate. The structures, 3 enormous, symmetrical megastructures, were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Their size was impossible to ignore. Each one stretched thousands of kilometers, their smooth, dark surfaces absorbing nearly all visible light. They were ancient, yet showed no signs of decay. The sheer precision of their construction defied conventional physics. There were no visible entrances, no markings, nothing to indicate their purpose. Further scans only deepened the mystery. Inside, the structures contained vast networks of corridors, chambers, and mechanisms that appeared to serve no clear function. The materials used in their construction were unknown, resistant to every test humanity's best scientists could devise. Attempts to extract samples failed. The tools simply shattered against the structure's surfaces. The technology within them seemed to operate on principles beyond human comprehension. As more ships arrived, humanity's brightest minds gathered to study the phenomenon. The structures became known as the Great Three. Their origins were unknown, and no records of them existed among any of the alien civilizations humans had encountered. The structures predated even the most ancient interstellar empires by millions of years. If a species had built them, they had long since vanished. The Great Three, despite their silence, were not inert. They responded to observation in ways that were both subtle and unsettling. Data streams would distort unpredictably in their presence. Instruments calibrated to measure electromagnetic waves would register fluctuations that had no apparent source. Some researchers reported seeing brief flashes of movement within the structures, shadows against the darkness, glimpses of something that shouldn't be there, but no physical evidence of life was ever found. The breakthrough came when a human ship, the Solstice, experienced a critical system failure while in orbit around the structures. A power surge knocked out all communications, propulsion, and life support, leaving the crew stranded. Then, without warning, the Great Three responded. A pulse of energy, measured in the terawatts, surged outward, engulfing the ship. Just as suddenly as the failure had occurred, every system on the Solstice came back online. Data logs showed that not only had every malfunction been corrected, but several components, some of which were decades old, had been restored to a state of perfect condition, beyond even their original factory specifications. This was the first and only known instance of the structures interacting directly with human technology. Scientists scrambled to understand what had happened, but the data defied all known logic. The energy emitted was unlike anything ever recorded, and there was no known way to replicate it. It became clear that the Great Three were not just remnants of an ancient civilization, but something more, perhaps machines still carrying out a function no one could understand, or something entirely beyond human categorization. The implications were staggering. If the Great Three were capable of such feats, what else were they capable of? Were they a message left behind by a lost civilization? An ancient experiment still running long after its creators had vanished? Or something else entirely? Speculation ran wild, but no definitive answers emerged. Humanity, for all its technological prowess, was no closer to unlocking the secrets of the Great Three than it had been on the day of their discovery. The structures remained as they always had, silent, waiting. Scientists proposed endless theories. Governments debated the potential risks of further interaction, but no consensus was ever reached. The structures had been there for millions of years, and they would likely remain for millions more. In the end, humanity accepted that some things in the universe might never be understood. The Great Three stood as a humbling reminder that for all humanity's progress, there were still forces and intelligences far beyond its grasp. The discovery changed everything, not through conquest or revelation, but by instilling in humanity a deeper understanding of its own limits. They were explorers, but not masters, seekers, but not rulers, and the galaxy was far older, far more mysterious than they had ever imagined. The Great Three were left undisturbed, their purpose unknown, their presence a silent enigma. Humanity moved forward, forever changed, knowing that out there, in the dark, there were things beyond them, waiting, watching, and perhaps, one day, revealing their secrets in their own time. Year was 2576, and humanity had expanded far beyond its home system. By then, the Sol Federation controlled hundreds of colonies spread across dozens of star systems. Faster-than-light travel had become routine, and deep space exploration teams scoured the galaxy for new worlds, resources, and signs of life. Most encounters had been with unremarkable ecosystems or primitive species, but that changed when the exploration vessel Pathfinder stumbled upon the system that would rewrite everything humanity thought it knew. The system, later named Triangulum 3, was unusual from the start. The outer planets were barren, but readings from the third planet indicated artificial structures. The atmosphere was breathable, though it showed signs of extreme age, as if the planet had once been vibrant but was now slowly decaying. Orbital scans revealed 3 monolithic structures standing in perfect formation, stretching miles into the sky. Each was different, one resembling an impossibly smooth black obelisk, another appearing as a massive metallic tower with intricate, web-like designs, and the third a dome-like structure with immense circular gates leading into the ground. Landing teams were deployed immediately. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel carefully approached the structures, fully aware they might be stepping into something far beyond human understanding. Initial attempts to scan the interiors were met with interference. The material of the structures absorbed or deflected nearly all signals, making it impossible to determine what lay inside. Eventually, the teams decided to enter manually. What they found would leave them shaken. The first structure, the black obelisk, contained nothing but vast, empty corridors. Every surface was made of an unknown material that did not reflect light but seemed to consume it. At the center of the structure was an empty chamber with a single pedestal, on which lay a small, cube-like object. When a researcher touched it, the cube activated, projecting a flood of unreadable symbols into the air. The symbols flickered and shifted before settling into something recognizable: mathematical equations, physical constants, and eventually, something more chilling, a star map with hundreds of systems marked. Many of them overlapped with human-colonized regions. The realization was immediate: whoever built this knew of humanity before humanity knew of them. The second structure, the metallic tower, was a different kind of mystery. Unlike the black obelisk, this place was filled with intricate machinery, some of it still humming faintly with power. Gigantic spires lined the walls, each one covered in what appeared to be engravings or inscriptions. The materials used in the construction were unlike anything seen before, impossibly durable and seemingly resistant to decay. Deeper inside, they found what looked like archives, rows upon rows of massive data storage devices. Yet, none of the technology matched anything humanity had encountered. Some of the researchers speculated this was a repository of knowledge, a library of sorts, but without a way to decode the alien language. It remained locked away. The third structure, the dome with its underground gates, was the most disturbing. As the team descended into the tunnels beneath it, they discovered vast halls lined with thousands of pods. The pods were ancient, covered in layers of dust and corrosion. Some had shattered long ago, their contents lost, but many remained intact. Inside them, humanoid figures lay in what appeared to be a form of stasis. They were tall, impossibly thin, with elongated limbs and featureless faces, their bodies encased in strange, dark material that looked almost organic. None showed signs of life. The deeper they went, the more they found. In the lowest chamber, they discovered a control center, where faded displays flickered with indecipherable warnings. It became clear that the Great Three, the monolith, the tower, and the dome were remnants of a species far older than humanity. The structures had been abandoned for an unknown reason, possibly for thousands or even millions of years. But the most terrifying realization came from the pod chamber. The stasis-like technology suggested that the beings inside were not entirely dead, dormant, perhaps, waiting. Humanity had found evidence of an elder race, one that had achieved technological mastery far beyond anything the Sol Federation had ever imagined. Yet, something had happened to them. Whether they had fled, gone extinct, or were simply waiting to wake up, no one knew. The discovery changed everything. The arrogance of believing humanity was alone, or even the first, was shattered. The Great Three were a reminder that the galaxy was old, far older than humans had assumed, and filled with secrets beyond comprehension. The Sol Federation classified the findings immediately. Further exploration of Triangulum 3 was put under strict control. Researchers worked tirelessly to decode the symbols, the archives, the purpose of the structures. But there was an unspoken fear among them all. If humanity had found this place, others could too. And if the ones who built it ever returned, there was no telling what they would think of the newcomers who had stumbled upon their forgotten legacy. For now, the Great Three remained silent, but no one could shake the feeling that the silence would not last forever. In the year 2576, humanity had reached beyond the stars. No longer bound to Earth, they had colonies scattered across dozens of systems. They had encountered alien species, traded with them, fought wars, and carved their place in the galaxy. But for all their discoveries, there were still mysteries that eluded them. Some were ancient artifacts left by long-dead civilizations, while others were whispered rumors of forces far beyond human understanding. One such mystery was the legend of the Great Three. The Great Three were spoken of in fragmented records across multiple alien cultures. There were no clear descriptions, only vague references to entities or forces that had shaped the galaxy long before humanity arrived. Some believed they were gods, others thought they were an ancient species, long gone or in hiding. The only certainty was that the Great Three were real, and they had left something behind. Humanity's search for them began as an academic pursuit. Scholars pieced together the fragments, mapping out locations where traces of the Great Three had been mentioned. Some sites had nothing but ruins, others bore strange energy readings that defied explanation. Then, a breakthrough happened in the Sigma 42 system. on a planet classified as uninhabitable due to its extreme atmospheric pressure and violent storms. A deep space probe, scanning the planet's surface, found a structure hidden beneath miles of rock and ice. The readings indicated it was artificial, massive, and untouched for eons. A fleet was dispatched, equipped with the best technology humanity had to offer. It took months to clear the way, burrowing through ice and stone, until the entrance to the structure was finally exposed. Inside, they found a vast chamber, illuminated by a soft, bluish glow that had no visible source. The walls were etched with markings unlike any language humanity had ever seen. In the center of the chamber stood three massive structures, each unique in design but clearly connected in purpose. Machines, or perhaps something more. As the research teams approached, the chamber responded, the glow pulsed, the air vibrated, and a deep hum filled the space. The structures activated. It was not an attack, nor was it a welcome. It was something else, an awakening. The data poured in. The structures were not just remnants of an ancient civilization, they were alive, in a way beyond biological or mechanical life. They contained knowledge, power, and something that defied categorization. The research teams worked tirelessly, uncovering details piece by piece. The Great Three were not gods, not in the way myths described them. They were architects, shapers of the galaxy's oldest civilizations, and perhaps even the ones responsible for the very fabric of space as it was known. But there was something else, a warning, hidden deep within the data streams. Among the energy pulses and shifting patterns was a message, a record of what had come before. The Great Three had not simply vanished. They had locked themselves away, sealing their knowledge and power for a reason. They had done it to protect the galaxy. From what? The message did not say, only that the cycle was nearing its end, and whatever had forced the Great Three into slumber was stirring once more. The discovery sent shockwaves across human space. Governments debated what to do. Some wanted to study the Great Three further, to harness their knowledge, their power. Others feared the consequences, warning that humanity was meddling with forces it did not understand. But no matter what side they took, one thing was clear: humanity had found something that should have remained lost. And now, the galaxy was watching. The Great Three had left their mark, and now that they had been uncovered, the past would not stay buried. The warnings were clear, but humanity had never been one to turn away from a challenge. Whatever was coming, they would be ready. The year was 2576 when humans first encountered the Great Three. By then, humanity had spread far beyond Earth, reaching deep into the galaxy with hundreds of colonies and countless ships exploring the unknown. The discovery was not planned. It was not the result of years of research or careful investigation. It was an accident, the kind that changes history forever. The expedition ship Pathfinder was charting a remote system on the edge of known space. The region was empty, devoid of habitable planets or valuable resources, a dead zone that had been ignored for centuries. There was no reason for anyone to be there. Yet, deep within a massive asteroid field, the crew detected something artificial. The object was colossal, 3 monolithic structures, each one the size of a small moon, floating silently in the void. They were dark, their surfaces covered in patterns that made no sense, etched with symbols and designs that no known species had ever used. The structures did not emit energy. They did not respond to scans. They were simply there, as if waiting to be found. The closer the ship got, the more anomalies appeared. Space around them seemed different. Time slowed in strange ways. Gravity fluctuated in unpredictable patterns, and their instruments gave conflicting readings. It was as if the very fabric of reality was thinner in this place. There was no doubt, these structures were ancient, far older than anything humanity had ever encountered, older than the ruins of the long-extinct species they had studied, older than the stars that burned around them. The crew launched probes, but none returned usable data. Signals disappeared into the void. Drones sent to land on the surface simply vanished. The ship's own sensors were affected, flickering between normal operation and complete blindness. And then, the lights aboard Pathfinder dimmed. For the first time in history, humans felt small in the vastness of space. The Great Three were not just ruins. They were something more, something beyond comprehension. The deeper the crew searched, the clearer it became, these structures had been built by an intelligence far beyond humanity's understanding, not just in the way they were constructed, but in their purpose. They did not serve as cities, stations, or ships. They were something else entirely, something alien in the truest sense of the word. Humanity had encountered alien species before. Some were primitive, others advanced, but they had always been relatable. They had bodies, they had thoughts, they built things with clear functions. The Great Three were different. They were not ships or buildings. They were something else, something left behind. A message, a warning, or something beyond human comprehension? The realization came slowly. Humanity had spent centuries believing itself to be one of the first intelligent species to reach space. They had assumed that if others existed, they would be at a similar level. But the Great Three shattered that belief. Humanity was young, insignificant. The universe had been home to greater things long before humans ever took their first steps beyond Earth. There were no records of who built them, no answers, just three silent, unyielding structures, staring into the void. And yet, despite all their mysteries, they were not abandoned, they were waiting. As Pathfinder lingered near the structures, the crew became aware of something unsettling, a presence, not a living one, not in any biological sense, but something real, a force that observed, that acknowledged their presence. It did nothing, made no move to communicate, but it was there, watching, evaluating. For weeks, Pathfinder remained, studying, searching for answers, but the longer they stayed, the more uneasy they became. The feeling of being watched never faded. The ship's systems began to fail in ways that could not be explained. Their time was running out. The decision was made. They left, transmitting everything they had gathered back to Earth before their systems completely shut down. The moment they put distance between themselves and the structures, everything returned to normal. The feeling of pressure, the anomalies, the distortions, all of it vanished the instant they left the asteroid field. The data was sent to the highest levels of human leadership. Scientists, military strategists, and historians all tried to make sense of what had been found, but no matter how they analyzed it, the conclusion remained the same. The Great Three were the remains of something far older than humanity, something that had once ruled the stars. But the most disturbing question remained unanswered. Were they waiting for something, or had they already begun to wake up?